Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the morning dump. It's June 10th, Wednesday. I'm your host, Jose Galison, and this is the kitty of the day, Katniss. She'll be one of the newer mamas. She is the newest mama of our cattery. Sorry, she's all squirmy. She's still a little kitty trying to run off and play. But yeah, she's a little lady. She's got a while before we'll be using her for mama, but she's a sweet girl, chocolate torty, very pretty coloring. But with that, if you like seeing my hot takes Monday through Friday, typically around 11 a.m. Eastern, or a tad bit late today, but not too bad otherwise. Or if you just like seeing the kitty of the day, then be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for notifications. That way you can see when we're going live and when we're dropping new videos. We'll see you in the show.
Beautiful thing, right now.
Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day. I'm alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to the white light.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
It's crazy evil.
Good morning. Good morning. Hope you guys are having a good one. We have plenty to go through today. As always, we start this show off with what we call Icebreaker Content, our fun, funny, gen pop. Kind of ease our way into some of the more serious stuff. So we'll dig into that first off today, and then after that we will get into the foreign policy coverage of the day, what's going on in the world of the war, going on in our foreign policy roundup. It looks like we're back to war, so plenty to talk about there, and then we will get into the first name segment of the day, Fed fraud. We actually have some good news in there on the Fednapping, the Whitmer kidnapping, Fednapping, whatever. On that story, we have some good news. So, happy to finally report on that. And a couple other collective stories kind of somewhat related to, Fed-ish, Fed-type stuff and fraud-type stuff, sort of. A little bit tenuous title. And then we will get into part two of our dig into the expose on the Tates. You guys asked to get into it again, so we will. It's a fucking long thing. I mean, by whenever we do finish, it'll probably be like 10 parts if we end up doing the whole thing. But I found it compelling. You guys seem to as well, so we'll dig into that. But with that, be sure to hit that like button, help a brother out, especially when we go down like 10-part little like niche things. Definitely helps. We're going down rabbit holes, so help boost this show up, help get this out there. But with that, guys, let's go ahead and get into the icebreaker content. Jumping off. First off, what we have, as I alluded to, the war is, looks like we might be getting back into it. And of course, leave it to Israel to draw first blood, or I guess one could say first boob. Apparently they've, got a little bit of a jump on the Blue Beam stuff. All these years, all this build up for Blue Beam, and it just completely fizzles out over some boobies. Breaking, Israel has launched Operation Mossad Milkers, using cutting-edge Project Bluebeam tech to beam a giant holographic Abigail Shapiro floating over Tehran chest first in a last-ditch effort to demoralize the Iranian population. Apparently, it's not working. Early reports indicate the giant glowing figure is mainly causing mass confusion and power outages across the city. maybe they didn't think this through with all the AI, the overuse of the electricity. Psychological warfare has never been this expensive or this awkward. Early reports suggest this was Ben Shapiro's idea. This is not yet confirmed. Here is live video of what's occurring over there in Tehran.
Die, stupid hologram whore! Die, stupid hologram whore! Die!
Okay, obviously that's a stupid fucking joke. Just making fun of the fact that Ben Shapiro, that goofy little feller, had a sister with the absolute most amazing knockers you've ever seen. Absolutely astounding. You never think. I guess it is like growing up. It always like was the nerdy little kid that always would have like the really fucking smoking hot sister. So it totally checks that Ben Shapiro has that dynamic. Although I will say, I said smoking hot. I mean, once you just cut out the chesticles out of the situation and your face is naturally drawn up towards the face and you realize she has a face, you're like, oh, well, okay, well, it's all right, I guess. All right, moving on. We talked a little bit about this on Already Dead last night, but Carmelo Anthony was found guilty. And with that, white boy summer has officially begun. We had some live reporting on the situation and what was going on shortly after the verdict outside the courtroom. Elijah Schaefer was live on, I believe, on location recording this. I believe he's another one of these ones. Maybe one of these days we'll dig into that because that guy had a crazy ass crash out recently. Just absolutely wild. But this is the vibe check we're getting from outside the courtroom shortly after. Here we go.
Fucking chimping out, just niggered them everywhere.
I just died on your arms tonight. Must have been something you said. I just died on your arms.
Fucking chimping out.
All right, that was a stupid joke, but either way, that was doing the rounds. I don't have a whole lot to say about the Carmelo Anthony stuff. I mean, I know I just played a hard R there. We had some fun, whatever. We risked a strike for a moment for funsies. But like, and you would think I would be someone who would eat up this racial tripe. It's not really my shtick. I don't know. It's too on the nose to be funny. It's real. It just seems like race war nonsense. I'm not a fan. I think it's dumb. I'm like resistant to learning anything about this case so that I do not have to have an opinion on it. But my general understanding is some sort of, I mean, I don't know, it is like, I guess from the little bit I know, it's somewhat interesting. Like what is the ethics here? What possibly could have happened? What didn't happen? Because my vague understanding is there was some tent they were standing under. The black kid Carmelo was there. They didn't want him in that tent. They told him to leave. And I guess Carmelo, from what I've understood, essentially was like, don't fucking put your hands on me or something along those lines. So put out some sort of warning. And I guess, I think it was his Metcalf or Brand. I don't know what the fuck his name is, but the one guy actually says right here, it says, Austin Metcalf. I guess he tried to like move the guy, kind of more of like, I guess the dude was like a 200-pound guy. Carmelo was more like a little 130-pound sort of feller. So kind of like literally trying to move him. He wasn't trying to like fight him. But either way, that is like assault. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of surprised from what little I know about it, I guess. But I don't know. Whatever. I don't want to get pulled into it. I guess you guys can tell me what you think about it in the chat. It just seems like dumb race war nonsense to me. It seems like kids making really stupid decisions. And frankly, kind of on both sides of it. From the little bit I know of it, it does actually feel like Austin should have kept his fucking hands to himself. But I don't know. I haven't looked deeply into it. Maybe he was perfectly in the right to put his hands on Carmelo in that situation. Even though it wasn't like an overtly, from what I'm understanding, like trying to like fight him. It was more like a moving. It is still, technically, infringing on somebody else. Although stabbing does seem to be a bit of a... jumping to 100 for that one. I mean, I am very much the like don't fuck with me or you'll find out type of guy, but that does seem to be taken to a ridiculous end. But whatever. Moving on past the Carmelo Anthony. Let's talk about another feller who who made it all the way into the halls of power to do similar such ignorant shit. Here's an aide to Democrat Mass Governor Maura Healey busted after allegedly having 8 kilos of cocaine sent to a state office building. I guess I was kind of insinuating it, but here's a picture of the guy. So he is exactly the race that we're applying here. Not that it really matters. And even with from what I understand of like the Carmelo thing, I don't even think race even really mattered to that. They tried to make it this racial thing and this like white/black solidarity story, but like even there was really even nothing about the story inherently racial. It wasn't like, I don't think there was like he was like, fuck you, white boy, or like there was no like, get out of here, blackie. Like, so it does seem to be kind of contrived in that way, but as I kind of was being a little bit contrived by bringing race into it with the story. But this is some ignorant shit. This is crazy. This is insane. And I don't think it gets much better. I skimmed through this a little bit before. Also saw a little bit of it yesterday. We talked about this on Already Dead. One of the callers called in and told us about this story. So I figured for funsies, we'd dig a little bit deeper into it because it is kind of wild. But aide to Democrat Mass Governor Maura Healey busted after allegedly having 8 kilos of cocaine sent to state office building. So a staffer for Democrat Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey was hit with drug trafficking charges after authorities intercepted 8 kilos of cocaine being delivered to a state office building. Now, this was about a little less than a year ago. This is back in October. Just for those who have an idea of when this was. Now, multiple parcels. Oh, here we go. Lamar Cook, who has served as a deputy director of Healey's Western Massachusetts office since 2023, was charged with trafficking over 200 grams of cocaine. Unlawful possession. District Attorney Anthony Giulini announced Wednesday multiple parcels containing about 21 kilograms of cocaine have been seized by Massachusetts State Police throughout the investigation into Cook. So altogether 21. It's just that the 8 were at the state building, which is wild. Cook was arrested during a Tuesday traffic stop. Now, 8 kilos I don't think is like that big. I mean, like, it's not like you could easily fit it in like a backpack. It is still like a shitload. Like, what is the market value of a kilo of cocaine? Kilo cocaine value. I'm going to look that up real quick because I am curious. Because if he's got 8 kilos on him, 2026 street price, come on, give it about 28,000 to 70,000 per kilogram. So for easy math, let's go with 30K. So let's say that was 30K each. That's 8 of them. That's what, like 240K that he's just got like chilling somewhere. So it's more about the amount than I guess it is like the size or like bulk, but he's just like carrying that much around. Just pretty wild. Anyways, back to the story. I just want to give us a conception of like how crazy this is. But he was arrested during a Tuesday traffic stop 3 days after authorities conducted a controlled delivery operation of 8 kilos of coke to the Springfield State Office building where the Healey staffer worked. His arrest is also linked to parcels seized at the Hotel UMass in Amherst, where Cook was previously employed, containing about 13 kilos of the drug. Evidence collected during that operation was consistent with the narcotics recovered during the most recent controlled delivery in Springfield. Giulini said Cook, 45, was arraigned Wednesday in Springfield District Court and pled not guilty. His bail was set at $25K. As the Western Mass Director for Governor Maura Healey, I serve as a key liaison between the state government and the Western region of Massachusetts. The LinkedIn bio for the suspected cocaine trafficker reads, in this role, I effectively manage and coordinate government initiatives and policies in 4 counties. Cook was fired from his post in the governor's administration after his arrest. A spokesperson for Healey said, the governor's office has been made aware of the arrest of an employee, Lamar Cook. The conduct that occurred here is unacceptable and represents a major breach of the public trust. The Healey reps in a statement. Mr. Cook has been terminated from his position effective immediately. A statement continued. This criminal investigation is ongoing, and our administration will work with law enforcement to assist them in their work. 2 Republicans challenging Healey for the Massachusetts governorship in 2026 slammed her after the cocaine bust. Says Healey has lost control of every aspect of her administration. When I'm governor, we'll clean up the mess. Yada yada. Top gay aide to Governor Maura Healey is drug traffickers beyond shock. Okay, we got some mudslinging, whatever. That stuff's boring. Who gives a shit? Now, what is interesting? Apparently, this broad was in the Epstein files. I don't have anything for you to show. Maybe I ought to dig into that later. But according to our caller last night, he was saying that she's all in there. And I mean, obviously, there's nothing in here implying Healy was in any way involved. But it is, you have one of your top dogs of your administration or one of your people, your staff, walking around with $250,000 of cocaine at the fucking state building. I mean, it does kind of make me wonder what the fuck's going on with the rest of this group of people, like especially the boss. That kind of makes me wonder what the fuck is going on here. Maybe we'll have to dig into that later, but I guess something for us to keep an eye on at least. Massachusetts, wild. So anyways, with that, let's go ahead and get into the chat. Say some good mornings, some hellos, all that. Oh, I forgot to do my normal little housekeeping to remind you guys. I don't know why I forgot to do that today. We just jumped right into it. But whatever. Yeah, I guess for anyone new here, I do timestamp all this stuff. This is a live stream, so it's interactive. Now, if you aren't here for the live show, then I do try to accommodate you guys by putting timestamps. So you can just go down to the video or podcast description, and I keep the chat towards the end of each segment. So as soon as you hear chat, you know that segment's over, and you just go down the video podcast description and just go down to the next segment. Bingo, bango, boombo, you're good. All problem solved. You can move on past. Most platforms these days have it hyperlinked too, so you don't even have to manually fast forward. And also with this being like a live or being like a dump type show, an info dump, this is just stuff we're kind of going through together. We're learning together. We're processing most of this stuff together. Most of this stuff is not like pre-processed information that we're bringing to you, nicely produced and thought through. This is raw, real. That's what we're doing here. Now, if you're here for the live experience, I do try to give everyone at least one good morning. After that, you got to catch my interest or catch my wallet. Wallet obviously being super chat. You can super chat over here. And then interest, obviously, that's self-explanatory. With that, let's go ahead and get into the chat, and then we will get into what's going on in the world of war. Good morning, Oxtail, which I believe Oxtail, was that your call? No, you called about the World Cup. That's what you called about, which, sorry, I don't care about World Cup stuff, but like and subscribe, which, is that in the United States? Is that the significance? I don't even remember like the significance of like what's going on with it. I think it is in the United States, right? And there's some weirdness with that. Fill me in the chat. Good morning, WC Cola. Good morning. Saying Andrew Taint. Good morning, Tom33 says, what up, you beautiful bastards? What is up? Good morning, Fire Pixie. And then she gets another good morning because she was doing it on 2 platforms, giving me double the boost. Appreciate it. Good morning, Gerald. Good morning. Telling me to put in my VA claim. No, I refuse to be a dirty little welfare whore. Good morning, King David, saying hit that like button. Support Jose. Yes, please. You bring in a good point though. Gerald says they're going to draft you if you're not disabled and you're going to have to die for Israel. That's not a bad point. Like maybe I should get my my murder welfare whore money. That way they don't go make me murder welfare more go make me murder welfare whore some more later. So good morning, Monza Ballson. Fantastic RDA last night. Yeah, I thought it was a fun one too. I really enjoyed it. We just let Austin go nuts and we had fun. I enjoyed it. Good morning, Bug Fights. Good morning. Yes, Rumble does suck butt, Tom33. Good morning, Gotis. Good morning, retardo, Genio. Tom says her face ain't even bad. It just doesn't compare to them kids talking about Shapiro's sister. Yes, that is true. That's why I was kind of like, yeah, it wasn't like it's bad. It was just kind of like, okay, I guess. Continuing on. Good morning, Hotep. Good morning, you terrible Goyim. Good morning. Bug Fight says, I agree. I'm checked out of the race war until it actually begins. Yeah, I mean, count me out until I got to pick a race. And this is why I've kind of seeded. That's why I came up with the Jose pseudonym. That way I'm kind of riding the line. I'm a whitey, but I tan well. So no, I can I can almost make the like, well, I'm like a light-skinned South American or something like that. Like, okay, whatever. We'll count you among our Hispanic brethren. Maybe even get into the brownies. We'll see. Good morning, Denmark. Good morning. Good to see you. Bug Fight says, I mean, the black kid stabbed someone in a school fight. I know people say this, and this is going to sound nuts. I mean, like, I don't think it is prudent or you should necessarily you react in that way. And it was, you say in a school fight. For one, like, I don't know the circumstance. I think this, like, conception that we have, it's kind of this, like, this brain rot idea. I mean, I don't know. This, like, idea of, like, oh, school fights, put them up. Like, yeah, I know people do school fights, and many of us have had experience of having fights as kids and stuff, but, like, that shouldn't be, like, no, that really should be, like, almost this, like, line you don't cross. Like, if we are at a point, at least my perspective in the world is if I'm at a point where I'm, like, doing combat with somebody, it's because my life is on the line. And, like, in reality, and even if you don't think it's on the line, like, if you have this, like, weird, like, oh, we're gonna have these rules of honor and fisticuffs and yada, 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 and don't bring a whatever to a fist fight or this and that, or, like, the idea that this is a fist fight, no, this is me violently fucking you up and trying to get whatever this conflict is to no longer be a conflict. And if I am fighting you, it's because I was unable to avoid the conflict. Or I just felt like, whatever reason, I didn't need to. Like, it may not be on me to avoid the conflict, depending on what the situation is. But my point is like, once we've entered into fighting, like, this idea of, like, oh, well, you brought it to a knife. Now you brought it to a gun. We were doing fisties. You're like, no, I'm fucking killing you. Like, what are you talking about? Like, because I'm not trying to fight on this world. Because, and even then, too, because, like, your life is on the line with a fist fight. People don't have this idea. Like, I don't know if it's, like, I'm not trying to say I'm, like, a big badass or anything, but, like, I don't know if it's just from, like, martial arts, wrestling, but it's, like, I don't see, like, fighting, you are putting your life on the line. Like, this idea of, like, oh, just, like, oh, fisticuffs, kind of like, ooh, I throw a couple, you throw a couple, and we, you know, like, no, like, all it takes is one spill on the pavement and your life is over. Like, you were, like, and even, might even be worse than just dead. It might be like you're stuck in a fucking hospital bed the rest of your life. This isn't shit to play with. So, I mean, I do kind of, when people say that shit, like, it's kind of, I don't know. For example, I know a lot of people gave Dalton Etherly that shit too. Chud the Builder or whatever about, like, the gun thing. Like, I think, like, what he was doing, like, leading up to that did kind of create the situation, and, like, he may not, perhaps, maybe it was literally self-defense, but in some abstract way, he did kind of bring that on himself by essentially being a nuisance and just kind of being a general piece of shit. But so far as, like, the actual self-defense goes, like, the idea of the guy coming at him and then him shooting the guy, nope. I'm assuming it was legitimate self-defense. I'm all for that. Like, that's the way I look at it. Like, and it's not from this, like, oh, I, like, am concerned that me as some man, I don't have the machismo to go fist to fist with somebody. It's because it's like, no, like, you're not worth that, and I will fucking kill you, whoever this imaginary person is in this scenario. Like, you're not worth losing my entire life over. So it's like, I will just dispatch of you as quickly as possible and as violently as possible. That's my perspective on violence. I avoid it at all costs, but if it's going to happen, like, it's game over. And so that's kind of like my perspective. So, like, yeah, maybe he shouldn't have stabbed him. Maybe he shouldn't have had a knife. Probably wasn't the best idea. But yeah, this is why it's super important to not put your fucking hands on people. So I don't know. It's a complicated situation. It was probably what's made it such a popular race war nexus issue. But yeah. Anyways, I don't know. Going on. Gerald says that's way high, nigga. You can talking about the coke. Well, he's saying 22 a key in Pueblo. Okay, let's run down to 20. Even 20. What he had 8, so that's like 160K. That's still like over a tenth of a mil, just chilling in his backpack or in the trunk of his car or something on the at his work premises. So pretty wild stuff. Gerald says 2023 San Jose Police Union Director Joanne Segovia was charged for running an international fentanyl ring using union offices and corporate U.S. accounts to mail illicit drugs across the U.S. Huh, interesting. They do all this shit, you fucking plebeians. Who do you think is moving the fucking way? Exactly. This is what's going on when you see all the murders in South America. That is consolidating. That's eliminating the competition is what that is. Fire Pixie, there you go. This is kind of stuff we're here for. He was asked 15 times to get out of the tent. Well, then that begs the other question of what was it like? Who was telling him to get out of the tent? Did he really have to get out of the tent? Does that mean you get to put your hands on it? I mean, it does seem like he was being, from the little bit I know of it, I will admit, if I'm going to wade into these waters, I'm leaning a little bit more towards Austin here. It does seem not cool at the very least. I don't know. There's a lot to this, from the little bit I know, but it wasn't raining too or some shit. I mean, I don't know. It's whatever. Let's keep going. Tom says, yeah, as an adult man out and about in the world, every fight is for my life. But as a teenager to early 20s, fist fighting is part of how some men find themselves in the world. Well, I get that, but that's kind of my point. That needs to be and maybe that means that there's going to be a few examples if people live by this credo. But I don't think that's positive. I don't think I think you should, if you want to get into organized fighting of some sort, sure, that's different than literal actual trying to fight people, even if it is just for you fucked my girl or this or that, or it's. I don't think people should be getting into literal fighting. It's one thing if you're you and your buddies are just kind of for funsies. That's a different thing. And even then, obviously, be careful. No shit. But very different thing than just if you're saying fist fighting, this idea of I know it's normalized and I get it. This idea of we meet me behind wherever we're gonna fight. I actually think that's really fucking stupid, and I think that's not a good thing to teach people or kids, or whether it's teenagers, early 20s, whatever. I don't think that's a good way to settle things. I think it's actually really fucking stupid. This idea of whatever, there's this thing I'm upset about, so let's go do violence. You're no. So so that's kind of the point here. So it's this is to some degree, I mean, obviously in an abstract sense, we're this idea of someone reacting, taking it to a whole other level when it comes to violence. So if you've already entered into violence with somebody, it's well, that's unfortunate. You shouldn't have brought it there. So, I mean, it's obviously, I guess, a little bit different if you were now if you are the schoolboy thing and you've literally arranged to meet and you're that, I guess that's a little different because it's there is this we've agreed, hey, we're coming to fight. I'm going to fight you. Now, I still think it's stupid and you really shouldn't do it. But anyways, it does kind of teach a bad lesson, this idea of we're going to do violence because of whatever thing. It's just a really shitty way to learn how to deal with problems, I think. Moving on. Good morning, or I already said good morning to you, right? Didn't I? But good morning, Mr. Wokereich says these black folks apparently didn't watch the movie Friday. I don't know if I've ever watched the movie Friday. Now that I think about it, I don't know what you're referring to. I've seen the clips and stuff like that. I don't think I've ever actually watched all of Friday. Good morning, Sirhan Solo. Good morning. But yeah, I know. I guess I'm still thinking about the fighting thing. I had a point that I totally lost in that. But yeah, I don't think it's good to teach people to solve things with violence in that way. I do think you should teach people, kids, young men should aspire to be good at violence. And I understand to some degree there's this ego component where you're well, then that means I need to go out and perform violence, but I don't think that's good. You need to be capable of it, but I don't think you should be doing it, especially unless it absolutely matters. And that's when it's okay, you're going hard in the paint then. Good morning, Carissa explains it all. I totally had another point I wanted to get into there, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Let's get into some war stuff, and not race war, into real war stuff that actually matters. Good morning, Alien Big Cat, sliding in there at the end. But let's get into some foreign policy coverage. Looks like we're back at war. Unfortunately, we got U.S. begins bombing Iran after U.S. Apache shot down in Strait of Hormuz. So I don't think we talked about this yesterday. I think this happened shortly after the show yesterday. But a helicopter went down. I think we did make mention that there were reports, about how Trump had said in the past about if we would return to hostilities if a soldier or a military member was killed, if that happened again. I mean, there'd already been 13 died, but if that happened again with these little tit for tat things going on here and there, that they would really return to it. Well, we had this happen. And I obviously I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but I don't think anybody died. So it's a little bit of an odd situation. Nobody, from my awareness, nobody died. Everybody's fine. Even then, who did it is a little bit up in the air. So weird situation, but even then they're still seemingly using that as the pretext to get back into it. But anyways, let's jump into it. CENTCOM announced on Tuesday its forces began bombing Iran. Attacks, it said, were a response to Iran allegedly shooting down a U.S. Army Apache helicopter that was patrolling the Strait of Hormuz as part of the U.S. enforcement of a blockade of Iranian ports. Despite the attacks being part of the same war of aggression the U.S. and Israel launched against Iran in February, CENTCOM is framing them as self-defense. CENTCOM forces began launching self-defense strikes against Iran at 5 p.m. Eastern today at the Commander-in-Chief's direction in response to yesterday's downing of a U.S. Army Apache helicopter, the command said. Iranian media reported explosions in Iran's Hormozgan province, including the city of Sirik and its surrounding country, and in Qashem, the island in the Strait of Hormuz. According to Iran's press TV, projectiles struck 2 water reservoirs in the Bamani district of Sirik country, temporarily cutting off water supplies. U.S. officials claim the strikes targeted several Iranian air defense and radar systems around the strait. Several waves of the U.S. were reported, with blasts reported in the port cities of Bandar Abbas, Yazd, and more in Qashem hours after the initial U.S. attacks. CENTCOM later said that it completed its attacks, but Iran is responding, with the IRGC announcing a drone attack on the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet in Bahrain. Following the start of the U.S. strikes, Abbas Araghchi, the Iranian foreign minister, wrote on X, "Despite its defeats on the battlefield, the U.S. opted to test our determination. Our powerful armed forces will leave no attack or threat unanswered. Leave our region if you want to be safe." Earlier in the day, President Trump said in a post on Truth Social, the U.S. must respond after the U.S. military told them that a U.S. Army Apache helicopter was shot down by Iranian forces in the Strait of Hormuz. Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister told Al Jazeera that Iranian forces did not deliberately target the U.S. helicopter, so this is a confusion that's weird. This is something you don't typically see. This is weird. We've had, the accepting responsibility of things, so we have this Apache helicopter going down. We've seen multiple examples of aircraft being lost in this adventurism, and, the United States blaming it on a number of different things. Iran usually claims credit, because it's they're wanting to claim credit, and then and then the U.S. usually is trying to be like, no, they didn't hit us. So because it's they're trying to look like the big tough guys, and then they're trying to make it look like they can't do shit. So no, they didn't do it. So. And then even then on their side, then Iran wants to make themselves look like big dogs too, and be like, well, we took it out. Well, this is the complete inverse. So we have the U.S. essentially claiming that this was Iran, and then this is why they're responding. And then we have Iran saying, no, they didn't say that it wasn't them. They said that they did not deliberately target the U.S. helicopter. So, maybe that's specific language and it was them. But it doesn't really make sense why they wouldn't claim it. Now here's the post from Trump real quick. It says, "I've just been informed by a great military last night. The Iranians shot down one of our highly sophisticated Apache helicopters while patrolling over the Strait of Hormuz. There were 2 pilots involved. Both are safe and uninjured. Nevertheless, the U.S. must of necessity respond to this attack. Thank you for your attention to this matter." So yeah, the response, it's weird. There's been murmurs of false flags. So some people, surmising perhaps that's why, because it doesn't really make sense. The Iran saying they, kind of implying they didn't do it. Or, U.S. claiming they did, when it usually would be the complete flip. of the situation. It definitely a weird, but it doesn't seem like that would be the case, like that they would do that. Like, I mean, they've had plenty of other reasons they could, amp things up, and I mean, and no one was even killed. So it's just a helicopter. So it just does seem like weird. Like if they were going to do like a false flag thing or something here, like they wouldn't really need to. Like they could just kind of find some other reason to pick up hostilities. So not entirely sure what's going on there. Definitely weird. This post came after CENTCOM said its forces rescued 2 crew members from the helicopter, and media reports said the U.S. was probing whether Iran was responsible, which came a day after an F-18 fighter jet bombed an oil tanker that was trying to reach Oman. Never mind. According to the AP, the 2 crew members of the Apache spent about 2 hours in the water before being rescued by a 24-foot unmanned boat. Tuesday's incident comes after Iran struck Israel in response. Israeli strikes on the southern suburbs of Beirut. Israel then launched strikes on Iran, and President Trump called on 2 sides to stop shooting. But shortly after his statement, CENTCOM announced the strike on an oil tanker. So quite ironic there. And then checking in on Lebanon, not looking great. So this says the ceasefire in Lebanon seems as tenuous as ever, with Israeli troops carrying out a flurry of strikes across southern Lebanon, leaving at least 14 people dead and 31 others wounded, and bringing the overall death toll since the Israeli invasion began to 3,666 killed. The largest number of casualties reported were in the city of Tyre, where 9 were killed and 28 wounded. 2 were killed in a drone strike against Kafar Rumin. Another was killed in an airstrike against a farm at Najit, and a 16-year-old was reported killed in another drone strike against the town of Abush. The IDF claimed another person, a Hezbollah gunman, was slain along Ramim Ridge along the border in exchange of gunfire. The IDF initially claimed the fighter had crossed in Israeli territory during the exchange, but some Israeli media reports seemed to be disputing that claim and suggested he was still on the Lebanese side. He has not been identified. Israeli drones were also seen over parts of the capital city of Beirut, which was last attacked over the weekend. So far, no new attacks on Beirut or its immediately surrounding suburbs have been reported. Indications are that the war is further escalating. In Abush, the drones, now listen to this is horrifying. In Abush, the drones that are constantly flying overhead have taken to broadcasting the sound of children screaming for help, or the sound of ambulances in an attempt to lure people out to be targeted. And that's not even the most sinister thing we're going to read throughout today. There's a few other similar such things we'll be going today. Ben-Gvir, the Israeli National Security Minister, has called for Israel to start arresting Lebanese women as a matter of policy, suggesting it's time to start thinking outside the box about them, and that taking them to terror prison is what hurts them the most. Ben-Gvir has been advocating further escalation of the war effectively from the beginning, calling for the mass destruction of Lebanese towns and villages and for the outright annexation of broad swaths of Lebanese territory in the south. Super dark shit there. Ben-Gvir saying Israel should kidnap women and children. Now, this was at a security cabinet meeting. It says, let's start thinking outside the box about Hezbollah. It says, also conquering territory and killing many terrorists, but also arresting their women and youth and taking them to terrorist prisons. That's what hurts them the most. Now, his terrorist prisons he's referring to here, these are the prisons we've talked about a number of times on this show, which are infamous as for torture, food deprivation, and the sexual abuse. This was like Sadeh Taman was one of them, which is the reports of like dogs raping people and stuff. It's absolutely horrific. Now, Ben-Gvir, he's the leader of the Jewish Power Party. He's previously advocated for the killing of women and children. In 2024, he said that any women or children who get close to the Israeli border should get shot in the head. And last year, he reportedly said at a cabinet meeting the IDF should shoot children who approach the yellow line in Gaza. He recently caused a shitstorm by posting a video of the most recent spate of Gaza flotilla activists, mocking them, abusing them. So definitely had some problems with that. Now, Italian prosecutors apparently opened an investigation into him as a result, but Just wild. This guy's an absolute ghoul. Between him, was it Ben-Gvir, Smotrich, and I feel like there's a third one. I'm forgetting Katz. Those guys always saying absolutely insane shit. But, the stuff they say is usually what Israel is doing. And then over in Gaza, they're abducting people fishing. Which I guess isn't that crazy compared to all the other stuff they're doing, but still pretty fucked up. Israeli Navy on Tuesday detained 9 fishermen off the coast of Gaza and took them to an unknown location. The Palestinian news agency Wafa has reported, as Israel has been stepping up its attacks and restrictions on Gaza's fishermen. The Wafa report said that the fishermen were abducted while they were working off the shores of Gaza City in Deir al-Balah, central Gaza. The incident occurs just 2 days after Israeli naval fire killed 1 fisherman off the coast of central Gaza, and Israeli forces detained 4 others. The fisherman killed on Sunday was identified as Mohammed Abu Jayab, and some sources put his age at 16, while others said he was 18. Zakaria Bakr, a coordinator of Gaza's fishermen's committees, told China's Xinhua news agency that Abu Jayab was killed by Israeli gunfire while trying to fish to provide for his family. In May, there were several instances of Palestinian fishermen being wounded by Israeli fire off the coast of Gaza. Wafa said the increased pressure on Gaza's fishermen has included detention, live fire, and the confiscation of boats and fishing equipment. Israeli attacks continued on land in Gaza, with his health ministry reporting Tuesday that it recorded the IDF killing 7 Palestinians and wounding 34 over the previous 24-hour period, as the IDF continues its constant violations of the U.S.-backed ceasefire deal. This ministry said that since the deal was signed in early October, the Israeli military has killed at least 978 Palestinians in Gaza. So looking at this rate, they damn near might hit 1,000 by the end of the week, if not the beginning of next. Obviously, it'd be nice if they'd just stop. A number of victims are still under the rubble and in the streets as ambulance and civil defense crews have been unable to reach them so far, the ministry wrote on Telegram. And finishing off our foreign policy coverage today, digging into the West Bank, following up on a story we already talked about. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before that, but recently, I do want to give a little bit of a warning to you guys that this is absolutely awful what we're about to see, but I do think it's at least worthwhile to show. I told you guys the other day about the thing that happened over in the West Bank. This family pulled up to, they were just driving around. And I guess, I don't know if there was like a checkpoint or if they just randomly were stopping them, but I mean, we're about to read it back over here again, I guess in a second, but either way, some armed Israelis stopped some people in the West Bank. They slowed down their vehicle, and, as they approached them to, kind of obey them and kind of put their hands up and everything. And then boom, 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 fired into the car and then just walked away. And in that firing into the car, a 7-month-old baby was shot in the head in this absolute callous, execution. I mean, I don't know if they necessarily were intending to kill the baby, but they were intending to fire into the vehicle and then just walk away. And that resulted in the baby dying. So, I mean, I guess that's a funny little parallel in a dark way to all the times Israel's like, we weren't targeting people. Like, that's kind of a good example of what Israel means when they say, well, we weren't targeting children. Well, yeah, you were just firing into their fucking vehicle when they're in there for no fucking reason. Now footage has come out, though. So, just warning. Shows the moment Israeli soldier opened fire in a vehicle in Israeli-occupied West Bank and killed a 7-month-old baby, Sam Abu Hakal. The killing occurred on Friday when Sam's father, Fad Abu Hakal, was driving home the city of Hebron when IDF soldiers appeared on the road. The IDF claimed the soldier fired in the car after they perceived a vehicle accelerating toward them, but the footage from B'Tselem shows the car was slowing down and coming to a stop. The footage clearly shows the Israeli soldier fired the car as it was slowing to a stop. The car was far from the soldiers and posed no danger to them whatsoever, B'Tselem sent a statement on the video. So let's watch. Let's go ahead and watch it. Warning. There's like two cut scenes here. You see like when they fire, you really can't make out much. And then you see a cut scene of them after they get out of the vehicle, and that's where it's horrifying, and you just see blood everywhere. So it's pretty awful. So just warning you, but here you go. You can see them pulling up. The vehicle even stops, so you can kind of see through this fence here, sort of. There's no volume, by the way. The video originally has no sound, it says. So you didn't really make out the shooting too well, but they did stop. You see them stop toward them. And then now here is after the fact. Just absolutely awful. So this is what the Palestinians are dealing with in the West Bank and also in Gaza, just fighting to survive. Absolutely dreadful. But with that, let's roll into the chat. Say some more some more gornings, some more good mornings, some hellos, all the like. Check in and see what you beautiful people got to say. And then after that, we'll get into our first segment of the first titled segment of the day, Fed Fraud. So let's check in, see what you guys got to say. Good morning. Hey, say what now? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, CSESTP. Good morning. Good morning. What we see? Well, okay. Chat. You guys are chatting back and forth here. Tom says Israel's just comically evil at this point. You couldn't make a satire evil enough. It would just be depressing. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Hotep says, I don't care. Put your hands on me. I'm putting you down. Exactly. Mr. Wokereich, didn't they play rabbits dying on loudspeakers in Waco? Yes, they did. That and a bunch of other horrifying shit. Yeah, I believe they talked about that in The Men Who Stare at Goats in that book too, and like some of the psychological like psyops type stuff that's what that came from. Interesting book. Now I do think Ron Johnson does glow a little bit himself, or it's either John Ronson or Ron Johnson. I always mix it up. He's the guy that did The Men That Stare at Goats. He is a guy who got a distinct glow on him, just letting you know, but does make for some interesting writing. Good morning, Tara. Says I missed all the good stuff, guys. How you doing today? I don't know. You missed a little bit, but I don't think you missed too much. But yeah, all right. Good morning, Chris. Says what's up? Good. Doing all right. Chilling. How are you doing? What else we got in here? Almost all caught up. JMS. Good morning. Good morning. Says AI Tate looks gay. The gay little. You're looking at the thumb. I think you're talking about the thumbnail of this show. That's legit him. The only thing I added was the newspaper, so that's what he looks like. It's not even really. I mean, it's like AI in the sense of like I added the newspaper, but no, he weirdly looks soft there. I did notice that too. I don't know. I felt like it was like him almost like put on his soft thing. I feel like he was trying to put on the works for. What was that Michaela? Is that her name? Jordan Peterson's daughter. So that's who's in that photo. Mott says, number one cause of anti-Semitism is Israeli behavior. Ain't that the truth? Yeah, see you guys. Ron Johnson. There you go. All right, we're all caught up in the chat. Let's get into Fed fraud. Starting off, I just find it incredibly ironic. We have Kash Patel. Apparently, here's him unveiling the FBI's top most wanted fraudsters list. Let's check this out, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it.
I want all Americans to take a look at these most wanted individuals and look at the amounts, the tens of millions and billions of dollars in fraud that they have decimated our societies from. We rely on you. Our best form of information is the American public. Take a look at this top 10 most wanted. Let us know any information. There is no bad piece of information. The only bad piece of information is the one you don't give us. So call 1-800-CALL-FBI or go to FBI.gov and help us apprehend more fraudsters. All
right. Now, apparently this came about as a result of J.D. Vance. He proposed this to crack down on massive financial crimes being carried out across the U.S. Obviously, we've already done, I think, at least one segment, if not more, on some of the crazy, overt financial fraud occurring from the Trump administration and just general fraud, all sorts of fraud. There's all the weird crypto scams. You have all the like Kalshi stuff, so lots of weird scams seeming going on. Lots of people in on the take, and then ironically, we have JD fans throw this out. I don't know if this is some sort of Hail Mary effort to try to sanitize his name a little bit. I don't know if we've covered this, but there's reports that apparently Trump's no longer looking at him as his his next guy. That's also paired with reports that apparently Vance is considering not running anymore, at least for 2028. So, yeah, I think this administration's put a real stench on the J.D. Vance name. If there's anything that can be said about this administration, that would be it. More on the fraud angle. Found this kind of funny. Apparently, Brock Pierce is offering $1 million of evidence of California election fraud. Now, what was kind of funny here is, as this person, Michelle De Cryptomis, says, you only describe Brock Pierce as Mighty Duck Star. That's how they describe him in the title of New York Post. Mighty Duck Star, Brock Pierce, if you want to conceal the fact that he was one of Epstein's closer friends and his extremely sordid backstory involving all kinds of sex crimes, which we recently did a segment on Brock Pierce, and I think he came up in a few other segments, so I just find that particularly interesting, and figured we'd dig into this, because I'm kind of curious, why the hell is he out here offering $1 million? What is his angle? Makes me wonder. So let's dig through this together. Looking for fraud. This is over at New York Post. It says, Brock Pierce, a former childhood actor turned crypto mogul, is offering $1 million reward for any credible, verifiable evidence of election fraud, as claims of interference continue to grow in the wake of the LA mayoral election. The former Mighty Ducks actor launched the Cure the Vote initiative on Monday in an effort to boost transparency and accountability around the mayoral... God, stupid ads in the way, sorry. Around the mayoral... Sorry, stupid thing. Around the mayoral election... where the fuck? Around the mayoral race that has gained national attention and scrutiny over vote counting. Cure the Vote is designed to provide a secure and independent avenue for election workers, government employees, man, these ads are really trying to get me, contractors, campaign staff, election observers, whistleblowers, and members of the public to submit credible evidence relating to potential election misconduct or irregularities, according to a press release announcing the launch of the initiative. All submissions will be reviewed by independent attorneys, election law experts, and investigators before determining award eligibility. The initiative is nonpartisan and underscores that it does not assume wrongdoing took place, but rather looks to reinforce public confidence by ensuring any credible allegations receive professional and independent review, the press release said. Cure the Vote pointed to other public interest reward programs like the one launched by Hustler magazine publisher Larry Flint. Okay. In 2007, the adult magazine publisher offered a $1 million reward for anyone who could uncover sexual misconduct and hypocrisy by government officials. Pretty based. He did so again in 2012. Although I think Larry Flint, maybe I'm wrong, but I swear he has some wild lore to his name. So I think that one also may be just as ironic or actually more so ironic than even like an Epstein. Or not Epstein, but like the situation we're reading right now with Brock Pierce offering money, trying to make himself look up some weird benevolent billionaire. Meanwhile, was a homie of Epstein. This one's obviously a little bit more on the nose if you have a hustler, Larry Flint, offering $1 million for sexual misconduct and hypocrisy by government officials. Assuming what I think I know, maybe I'm wrong there. I might have to dig into that again some other time. But I swear Larry Flint was involved in some stuff. I know, Gerald, I know you're in the chat. You probably know some dark shit he was involved in. I swear there was something that I'm blanking on. But anyways, he did so again in 2012, seeking dirt and infidelity regarding members of Congress. And then most recently in 2017, when he put up $10 million for any info that could lead to the impeachment of President Donald Trump in his first term. Now, with that, obviously, if we were to assume, Larry Flint was like a baddie, or whoever this guy is a baddie, and they are offering like money for people who can uncover this sort of things, I guess that the thing here was, I guess the idea would be that like essentially they're creating a funnel where anyone who has information likely is going to come to you first. So now I don't know if that would apply here to Brock Pearson's election thing. I'm not quite sure what the angle is here. Advocates say the same principles can be applied to election integrity by encouraging individuals with firsthand knowledge and verifiable evidence to come forward, the press release said. Also with that like Flint situation, as they're kind of implying with this too, it would have the inverse where the implication would be like, oh, well, there's Larry Flint, offering to give up $1 million, for government, degeneracy. And then $10 million for anything that could lead to an impeachment. So that creates the inverse of like, well, look how peachy clean these people are. Clearly, they're obviously they're not doing awful stuff, or somebody would be jumping at that 1 million, 10 million. So I don't know. In 2020, the crypto entrepreneur ran as an independent for president and later launched an exploratory bid for Senate in Vermont to succeed retiring U.S. Senator Patrick Leahy. He ultimately dropped out of the race before appearing on the ballot to focus on family matters. So, I don't know. What do you think is going on here? I'm a little confused. This is a weird one. I'm not sure why he's offering $1 million for fraud in regards to a mayoral race as some sort of stunt. Not sure why he feels the need to reinvigorate trust in elections this much, but okay, weird. Continuing on, though, the government defrauded us a while back with the Whitmer Fednapping thing, and they do it all the time with all of their entrapment schemes. Well, got a little bit of good news for you in that front. Apparently, one of the guys is going to be getting out, Joe Morrison. Here's Radix Verum with a picture of Joe Morrison with his kiddos, saying Joe will be able to hug and kiss his kids again soon outside of a prison. God is good. So I'm happy to see Joe is getting out. What she was quoting here, it says, Joe Morrison's conviction has been vacated by the Michigan Court of Appeals, and now the case is being sent to Jackson County for a new trial. I don't think they should be able to try this man again. He's innocent, and this has always been a hoax. Well, let's go to the original. Let's dig a little bit more in here, get a little more information, get into this article from the Detroit News, get a little more in the specifics of what actually happened here. It says conviction of Jackson County man tied to Whitmer kidnap plot gets vacated. Ah, crap! I'm retarded. I should have checked this before. I'm usually better about checking those articles. I let this one slide. Sorry. All right. Well, my bad. I was going to dig a little bit into some of the specifics on that one for you guys. Let's see if maybe actually I can't find something on it real quick. I'll just look for Google Morrison because I did want to get some specifics on actually how this played out. Well, unfortunately, there's a prominent Joe Morrison out there. It makes it hard to find. Here's athlete and football coach. All right, here we go. All right, here's a non-paywalled one we can look at real quick. Maybe. What the hell is going on here? Of course, now this one's giving me ad troubles. Give me a second. Sorry. Here's Yahoo. Here we go. Yeah, old trusty Yahoo. Here we go. Man convicted in Governor Whitmer kidnapping plot, his conviction overturned. Says one of the people convicted in that plot to kidnap Whitmer has had his conviction turned. The decision by the Court of Appeals, this is the Court of Appeals, I guess it's through his appeal, affects one person, Joseph Morrison, who was serving time in prison for providing material support for a terrorist act. 2022, Joseph Morrison was sentenced to 10 years in prison on 3 counts, providing material support for a terrorist act, being a member of a gang, and felony firearm possession. A plot to kidnap Whitmer during the pandemic has taken another twist. One of the people convicted in that plot has had his conviction overturned. It says decision. Oh, it keeps repeating itself. I'm getting really annoyed that they're using AI so much to make these now because it's obvious they're using AI. This was not written by a single person. They keep rehashing it. I'm just trying to find the specifics here. Okay, during the appeal, his attorney argued that a plot to kidnap the governor, as is defined by Michigan, is nonviolent and therefore does not meet the criteria for supporting an act of terrorism. It's an odd argument there, but the Michigan Court of Appeals ruled in Morrison's favor. Obviously, we know. I would recommend Radix Verum's work for those who aren't as apprised of what went down. We wouldn't be doing it justice if we dug into the Whitmer stuff here, but It's completely a Fed put on. I have a whole playlist of stuff if you do want to dig into that too. Radix Ferrum is one of the goats on this though, so definitely go check her out. Or you can just go to my playlist as well, if just to make it easy. Playlist. I think I have it as like Michigan kidnapping, Fednapping, Whitmer Fednapping, something along those lines. I'm not sure, but I have a whole playlist. Probably a good at least 5 or so videos in there to catch you up on there if you are interested. The Court of Appeals ruled in Morrison's favor, vacating all of his convictions and sending the case back to circuit court, where prosecutors will determine whether they plan to charge him again. So this is the sort of stuff I'm looking for here. So they're sending it back to circuit court, and from there, they have to determine to charge him again. So there's still the option to charge again. They would have to recharge it. So it could potentially go further than that. While this ruling does not directly affect his 2 co-defendants, Paul Bellar and Pete Musico, a criminal defense attorney says it could potentially have implications for their cases as well. There were 2 others said to be the masterminds behind the plot against the governor. They were charged and convicted in federal court, so this ruling has no bearing on their cases. And now I guess we'll get into the reactions of Nessel, Attorney General General Dana Nessel here in a second. Who's responded to this. The governor, though, has responded. She said allowing Morrison to walk free sends an alarming message and condones political violence. I do find it interesting. She's saying, never mind. I had something else lined up. Never mind. I was about to go somewhere else with that. But here's, let's get into Nessel, the attorney general over there in Michigan. Her response to this seems to be a little bit of molding going on. So here she is. She says, today, the Michigan COA unanimously reversed the conviction of Joseph Morrison, a Munith man convicted in 2022 of providing material support for terrorist acts, gang membership, and felony firearm for his role in the plot to kidnap Governor Whitmer. Let me see, what is this? And she gives more and then here is her more. She shared an article from Michigan.governor, their own site here. AG Nessel rebukes COA ruling to overturn conviction, pledges to appeal ruling, and judges find that kidnapping not a violent felony. And that is a weird argument if that's the technicality they're getting out on. I mean, I'm glad he's getting out on there in the first place, but it's a weird way to get him out of there. But yeah, she's not digging this. Here is her statement. This ruling is completely and irredeemably nonsensical, outrageous, and irresponsible. For the panel to declare that kidnapping is not a violent felony strains all legal credibility and insults the intelligence of every person in the state. Court twists itself in a knot using legal and linguistic gymnastics in order to liberate dangerous criminals using convoluted definitions of the crimes upon which they were convicted. The fact that the ruling comes a mere 2 days following the argument belies the eagerness to which the court sought a means to justify this end. Now, I actually kind of got to agree with her, as I've already kind of said, to some degree. I mean, now I'd be willing to eagerly admit that I'm completely fine with a means justifying, or the end, because the end here is he needs to be free. He clearly didn't do it. Now, I know they found him guilty in other charges, but I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm just glad he's out. Like, I'm aware that he's obviously didn't do anything wrong, and whatever way he gets out, I'm cool with that. So that's how I look at it. So yes, I'm completely cool with the whole ends, means justifying the end, whatever the fuck. Like, yes, I'm cool with that. But if you are trying to argue from a legalistic standpoint, I don't know. I mean, maybe if we go in the weeds, but it does seem a little bit ridiculous to say that a kidnapping is not violent. And so that's the technicality that you're. But anyways, this wasn't an abstract or peaceful kidnapping case. The evidence presented at trial explicitly proved a considered and coordinated plan. It did not. Among these men to kidnap and brutally murder the governor. It did not. Killing as many members of law enforcement and residents of the community as necessary along the way. That's not true. Kidnapping is violent and it's a felony. A unanimous Jackson County jury found Joseph Morrison guilty of every count against him after less than 2 days of deliberations. That this panel of judges found a way to excuse from these crimes their foundation in violence is irresponsibly and unfathomably diminishes and whitewashes the crimes of Joseph Morrison and his many co-defendants, sends a deeply dangerous message and a fraught in perilous time. My office will not allow this to stand. We will not downplay violent terrorism. We will not accept criminal threats against our elected leaders. We will not abide the arbitrary defanging of the criminal statutes to preserve public safety and order in the state of Michigan, to restore sanity, protect our public servants, and uphold the rule of law. We are appealing this preposterous decision. So, I mean, in a certain sense, like I said, I kind of get in like a bureaucratic way where you're like, she's kind of right. But either way, she's retarded. She can maul about it. And hopefully, although this does signal the state's still going to probably try to come after him, I don't know how successful that'd be. Hopefully, this falls through the cracks and nothing happens there. But moving on, one more fraud thing. This is a story I've had sitting around in the old bookmark folder for a while, for a minute. I feel like it seemed appropriate to bring it up here. I just find this interesting. I never followed this case, but something about this is weird. Apparently, the Justice Department has launched a criminal investigation to E. Jean Carroll, who accused Trump of sexual assault, according to sources. I never got too big into this story. That Jean Carroll, I know people think that she's a kind of a fabulous, kind of makes up things or aggrandizes situations. So maybe there is something to actually going after legally if she is doing that. That would be the case. But from knowing very little, it does kind of look like obviously the Trump administration going after this woman. So I figured at least let you guys know this is going on. I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts in the chat. If any of you guys followed that case, is there anything to it? Because I know there was a lot of stuff during this era of Trump that I myself would just kind of dismiss because, the lefties were being crazy, seemed to be way over the top, making crazy accusations. And I just kind of was like, I don't know. Yeah. The whole, I think in a certain weird sense, it's funny to touch her or grab her by the pussy thing. Some people, people frame this as his way to defeat, but in some sense that kind of became this, how do I say it? This became this way that people essentially enabled dismissing of any accusations, any things. Obviously now, if you follow my show, you know that I think Trump has done a whole lot of fucked up shit. And a lot of that stuff I wasn't really paying attention during that period of time because it was all kind of under this shadow of ridiculousness. So, and that was kind of the most forward part of that was the things oh, grab her by the pussy. Everyone kind of come back to, oh, grab it. And any dude, I know a lot of people might try to clutch their pearls, oh my God, but dude, I've said way worse publicly on camera. The shit I've said to homies, but behind the scenes, it's just crazy, crazy shit. I've said some of the wildest shit ever. And that's not even that crazy. It's just kind of bragging, oh, when you're rich and powerful, the ladies just kind of let you do whatever. And obviously there has a sinister undertone with what we know now. But that's only because you're applying that undertone. You're reading that into it. But I mean, obviously I think there's a lot of dark shit going on now. But with that, I don't know if Jean Carroll was one of these ones that kind of this specter of ridiculousness she fell under, and there's actually something to it. I mean, but yeah, let's roll a little bit through this piece. Check out what's going on. It's over at CNN, which, by the way, I don't know if we'll feel this bias as we go through this, but apparently CNN is getting ready to be taken over editorially by Barry Weiss, so that's interesting. She's taken over all of the editorial establishment behemoths, media behemoths, so nothing to see here. But the Justice Department has launched a criminal investigation to E. Jean Carroll, the former magazine columnist who accused Trump of sexual assault, according to multiple sources familiar with the matter. An investigation is focused on whether Carroll committed perjury in testimony tied to her two civil lawsuits against the president, one alleging he sexually abused Carroll in a New York department store in the mid-90s, and the second one for defaming her when in 2019 he repeatedly denied the assault, said she wasn't his type, and claimed she made it up to boost sales of a book. Prosecutors' theory hinges on a 2022 deposition statement by Carroll, 82 now, that she received no outside funding for her lawsuit, though it was later revealed that billionaire Reid Hoffman had paid some legal fees and expenses. Carroll's team declined to comment for the story. Attempts to reach Hoffman on Wednesday were unsuccessful. One day after CNN published the story, U.S. Attorney Andrew Boutros said in a statement that the Northern District of Illinois has not opened and has never opened a criminal investigation of E. Jean Carroll. After Boutros' statement was issued, sources reaffirmed the investigation to CNN. The probe is the latest move in the department's ceaseless and somewhat strained efforts to meet Trump's demand to target his long-standing personal foes. Under acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, the department has pushed to speed up Trump's campaign of retribution, but the cases he's brought since taking the reins of the department in April have been heavily criticized and are likely to face challenges in court over allegations of politicization. But Blanche has been rescued from this matter because he worked as one of Trump's personal attorneys on Carroll's appeals, according to a source familiar with the matter. Blanche has not attended meetings or been involved in discussions about the investigations, and the investigation is being overseen by other officials in the Deputy Attorney General's office. Senior leaders of the Justice Department referred the investigation to federal prosecutors in Chicago, according to two sources familiar with the matter. While Carroll's deposition took place in New York, one of the individuals who helped cover some of Carroll's legal fees, Hoffman, has a nonprofit based in Chicago. Hoffman supported the case, caught Trump's attorneys off guard when it came to light on the eve of the trial. Now, for those who don't know, I believe Hoffman has been kind of involved in like behind the scenes, like political, gamesmanship against the Trump administration. So him being revealed as some sort of financial donor of sorts to this Carroll legal campaign when she claimed there wasn't, that is kind of interesting. That does speak to something. Hoffman supported the case, caught him off guard when it came to the light of the eve of the trial. In 2022 videotaped deposition, Carroll told then Trump attorney Alina Habba that no one else was paying for her legal fees. But 2 weeks before the trial, Carroll's attorneys informed the judge and Trump's lawyer that they secured funding from Hoffman's nonprofit. So that does seem significant. Carroll's lawyers said she never met nor had conversations with anyone associated with the nonprofit. Habba said in court at the time that Carroll's team conspired to conceal the truth for nearly 6 months. The judge permitted Trump's attorneys to question Carroll again in deposition, which has not been made public. When the trial began 2 weeks later, Judge Lewis Kaplan said he had saw no issue with Carroll's credibility and blocked the lawyers from asking about Hoffman's funding. Carroll is still embroiled in multiple legal battles with the president. Juries awarded Carroll millions of dollars in damages, which the president is appealing. Trump has appealed the $5 million sexual abuse case judgment to the Supreme Court and has pledged to do the same with the $83 million defamation case. The Supreme Court has deferred its decision on whether to take up Trump's appeal 12 times. The most recent referral was made Wednesday morning. In a different case, the president unsuccessfully asked for the Justice Department to join the case as a defendant so that he could argue he is immune for liability. That's okay. An appeals court panel of judges said the argument was raised too late in the legal process. So, but with that, let's roll in the chat, check and see what you guys have to say. It does seem like she was involved in some fraud. A little curious. Is this retribution? Is this proper? I don't know. It makes you wonder to what degree did Hoffman really have a role in funding? Was it really that significant? I don't know. Maybe we'll dig in that some other time. I actually do have a lot of stuff saved up for Reid Hoffman. During the Epstein files, his name came up a number of times. He just never was like significant enough to cover because it's Reid Hoffman. When the fuck do we ever talk about Reid Hoffman over here? But I do have a bunch of them. So if we ever do, for some reason, dig into this, I got it ready. We can make it a Hoffman focused coverage. But all right, let's roll into the chat. Let's check it out, you guys. Good morning, John Black. Good to see you in here. Good to see you. John Black says, I'm here to fuck shit up. Who else we got? Pizzagate never happened. You guys all need to take your meds, says Gerald. Good morning, Mr. Mudbutt. It says the Mighty Gooners. You guys are talking about gooning in the chat for some weird ass reason. You guys accuse someone of being. Were you talking about Kash Patel being a gooner? Yeah, isn't that right? Wasn't it like his porn, was it him that his porn account got linked or whatever? Yeah. He had an X videos account, which is like, who the fuck has an account for that? Like, I don't know, whatever. Not weird move. Like, I'm pretty sure that's like a free site too. So it's like the site you would like. The only real reason, from my understanding of that site, from people have told me, like the only real reason you would even need to have an account is if you were somebody commenting. Like, who the fuck are the people commenting on like pornos, like porn videos? Well, it is exactly the sort of demographic that Kash Patel finds himself being a part of. So it is a little bit on the nose that he would have. So anytime you guys are out there gooning, just take a moment, scroll down, go to the comments, and just kind of go through there, maybe even look some of the usernames. There's a good chance you might see like a Bob's and Vagine comment from the head of the FBI. So pretty wild stuff. Just think that's pretty interesting. What a weird world we live in, huh? What else we got? Okay, you guys are talking a lot, but just a little chit chat back and forth between y'all. We've got people still talking about fist fighting. It says fist fighting is a young dude who can humble you and prevent more serious violence in the future. I do agree. I do feel like probably getting smacked one good time will make you have a little bit more respect for the concept of fighting. But I don't know, the idea of like celebrating violence, that like we should all go fight or that's how you settle your problems, just seems dumb. It's just not worth it. Gerald says Brock is a crypto trillionaire, part of the Teal crew, 100%. What else we got here? Gerald says, did you see Massey call out that congressman that literally posted a prompt he had written to his constituents asking for chatbot to make it folksy? You forgot to delete the ears of folks. That's awesome. No, I did not know that. Or did not see that. If you find it, tag me. That's pretty great. Make it more folksy. That is exactly the sort of like thing some out of touch politician would say, like, oh yeah, make a statement. This would tell AI, make a statement on this, condemning yada yada, and make it folksy. It's pretty good. No, I haven't heard about that though. All right. Man, you guys are really going. Man, you guys are doing a lot of back and forth, little chitty chats. Tara says, I do not care what the president says when it comes to that kind of stuff. He's a dude talking about some of his naughty talks, as I've said way worse today. Exactly. But then I think everything kind of got equated to that. Tom says, I don't know shit about this case in particular, but any false accusations should carry the same sentence as a crime in question. I'd hate to see the precedent set for that on behalf of any politician, though. Yeah, I would like to see that too. That would be good. These sort of accusations. So, assuming she is making up bullshit, yeah, she definitely should be getting in trouble, because that kind of takes away any seriousness from any of the other accusations. John Black says, my wife is diametrically opposed to me grabbing women by the pussy, so not very cool. That Oxtail says, Jean Carroll sounds like a wild cat. She was on CNN saying that most people think rape is a sexy fantasy. On the surface, it sounds like she's a CIA sex kitten tool. Now, even that, too, I think that's a misrepresentation. I feel like I've seen something about that before, the whole, like, sexy fantasy thing. I think, if I'm recalling correctly, I might be wrong. Feel free to correct me on it. But I think that was, like, an offhand... That was a thing she was saying, and I forget the way she was talking about it. I think she was saying that it wasn't like that... saying that most people think rape is a sexy fantasy. I mean, I forget the exact quote, but I think it was kind of implying that, like this wasn't like that. And not even saying that, like, most people, like, oh, some people may think of... And I think she may have been getting at, like, women have, like, rape fantasies, and, like, I don't know, maybe the idea that this guy is, like, a high-powered businessman, and, like, she's just a magazine publicist, so she could see how some people are like, oh, some... I think it's a little bit of a misrepresentation. People see that as, like... I've seen people twist that to be like she was saying that, you know, rape is sexy, or that she thought it was sexy or something, like, and that she thought the rape was sexy. So I don't know. I'd have to dig into the quotes to see if that's legit or not. I don't know. But I that seems like something people could have misrepresented, but maybe I'm wrong. Gerald's out here. See you, brother. Appreciate you joining the show today. Cash is a goon bot, says JMS. Spider Cat. Yes, Spider Cash. That's right. That was the name of the account. Spider Cash with a K. Spider Cash. What a great... Some Jeets fucking Spider Cash in the comments. That totally checks out. What? Tara, you're telling me you have an X videos account, you weirdo? Are you in the comments? Yeah, John Black, the comments are gold. Bob and Vagine. Yeah, the comments can be pretty funny sometimes. Make for some good bits. He wouldn't probably be such a dumbass that he won't change his username the way Podesta's password was password. Yeah, maybe. Qbert says Tates are faggots. Well, we're about to get into tape things and the Tate stuff. John Black says, I violate the nap on Thursdays. Why specifically Thursdays? What do we do on Thursdays? Okay. What's today? Wednesday? I'm so confused. What does that even mean? It's such a weird... Is that like an MK Ultra trigger or something? What is that? What does that even mean? That I violate the nap on Thursday. It's just such a specific time. There's something going on Thursdays? Now I'm confused. Tom's still on the fighting stuff. Says not to be dead horse. But yeah, I'm not saying we should encourage fighting, but accept it. Don't be too hard on the young guys that are reasonable about it. Yeah. No, I'm just more commenting, I think, was on the idea of like for one, like, yeah, I'm not going to be too hard on them. Like, kids are going to be kids. But, like, you shouldn't do that. And also on the flip side, like, part of the danger of that is that, like, if you enter into violence with somebody, like, sure, maybe you guys would have some sort of weird gentleman's agreement before the fight, but assuming it's like any other fight and you guys entered into violence and not one that you're like, meet me at this designated location and we'll fight, that, like, hey, violence, like, this idea that, like, it somehow is going to stay contained to just hands and, like, we're just going to throw fists at each other and things aren't going to get really sketchy. I just think I think there should be respect there and understanding that, like, yeah, kids may get into fights because kids do dumb shit, but they're taking their lives in their hands anytime they do that. So, like, that is the hard, that's a difficult reality. So that's my point. So there's people commenting on, like, oh, well, you brought a knife to a fist fight. And you're like, well, it'd be different if a fist fight was like an arranged upon thing in this situation. But this is like, no, someone tried to essentially assaulted you and you had a knife and stabbed them. It's a little bit different. So anyways, yeah, that was my whole point, is just the idea of like having that respect for, like, don't have this assumption that, like, once you put your hands on somebody, it's like you're kind of... Like, you better be ready to beat the absolute fucking shit out of that person because you're putting your hands on them, you're assaulting them, things are getting real, and you better have a damn good reason because you could get really fucking hurt as well. And even then, you could really hurt them and have to pay the consequences for that, whatever that may be, whether they're just or unjust. So, just best to avoid violence generally. So yeah, and that's like, yeah, it's like kids are going to do that stuff, but yeah, kids make life-destroying decisions all the time, and they shouldn't do that. And, like, fight doesn't have to be that, but it can. And so there should be that recognition, I think. Yeah, exactly. As Qbert saying, that's a chance you take when you decide to battle. Like, that's kind of the idea. Like, this idea of, like, you're like, well, he stabbed me. You're like, and I just attacked him. You're like, well, you fucking attacked him. Like, you guys were fighting. Like, and he stabbed you. Like, you were in violence. Sorry. The idea that you were going to have these, like, strict parameters on your violence is kind of silly unless you guys agreed to such parameters. And this idea that there's, like, these unsaid rules when somebody attacks you on the street or something is ridiculous. So, wait, what am I saying? What did I say? What did I say that was bad? You saying shut up, it's not okay? What did I joke about? I don't even know what I said. All right. I fell asleep before Jose bounced to shit last night. I woke up to Shy's ceiling bird chirping. Oxil says, I don't support Trump. It sounds like she's shit up, though. Shit up? Are you from America? Is that an expression around here? She's shit up, though. Is that expression that I've never heard? She's shit up. Or did you mean to say something else? But okay, I get what you mean, though. She's just wild or something. John Black says mutual combat requires consent and should be acceptable. Like, yeah, you should be allowed to. Like, people should be able to do mutual combat if they want. I still think it's stupid, but like, you should be allowed to if you want to. Oh, okay. You were joking about being upset. So okay, there you go. JMS says my hands are registered with the ATF. All right, let's get back into our Andrew Tate coverage. Get into that expose. Continue our digging, and I don't know. We'll do maybe like 30 minutes or so of this, and then we'll get back in the chat and get on out of here, and come back in tomorrow. I do have Matt Wolfson joining me tonight for the patrons. It'll be out for the poorers this weekend. I say that with love. I too am a poor. But yeah, we'll have that out for you guys for this weekend. But I have them on if you want to be there live or catch it early. We'll be there tonight about 8:45 p.m. and then tomorrow doing Years of Lead. But with that, let's go ahead and get into and the Andrew Tate story, Andrew Tate's Empire of Abuse, or as we're titling this segment, Were the Tates Part of the Matrix All Along? We're in part 2, getting into Andrew's early life here. So as a teenager, Andrew was dogged by a feeling of unease. I was always had this sense that something wasn't quite right about the way the world functions, he has said. He thought of himself like the character Neo in The Matrix, restlessly searching without knowing what for. When the brothers walked to school together, they sometimes saw a Ferrari drive by, and Andrew became furious. He's hacked the Matrix, he said. How does he have $400,000 for a car? He knows something we don't know. By 17, Andrew had left school and was working in a fish market, waking up at dawn to lug boxes of ice. He described being encumbered by a crippling perpetual boredom that yielded only to danger. Seeking a remedy, he enrolled in a kickboxing gym run by a former Special Forces soldier from Bosnia. So ding, ding, ding. Anyone looking for nexuses of glow, there you go. Obviously, it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but if you're looking for it. Soon he was competing, and Tristan started training too. Kickboxing is not much more lucrative than professional chess. The brothers initially fed themselves on canned sardines and chicken scrounged from abandoned KFC buckets, but in the ring, Andrew exhibited his father's gift for showmanship. He called himself King Cobra, got a cobra tattooed on his chest, and developed a patter about drinking snake blood. In one post-match interview, he was red-faced and furious, fumbling with his mouth guard. This is not sport to me, seethed. I'm in there to kill. That's it. Pain. That's all I know. As Tate's fighting career gathered momentum, his father showed an interest. 2011, Andrew won his first world championship. Emery wrote online, "Destruction itself rides in his very fingertips." He also posted musings that seemed to provide his son with an ideological roadmap. He warned against enemies of alpha males, the Matrix, and the insanity of the ruling elite. He mocked the notion of gender equality and argued that mature men should be allowed to have sex with pubescent girls. Oh shit, that took a little bit of a turn. Emery was still traveling between chess tournaments, and his posts were interspersed with blurry photos of hotels and dark city streets. He wrote about drinking vodka at 3 a.m. and inhabiting a state between ennui and dejection. At times, his tone was valedictory. I could clone myself, I would not. The better versions of me already walk this planet. At others, it approached introspection. Many animals are immune to their own poison, he wrote in 2012. The toxic human realizes that the toxin kills even himself, toxifies his kids. He died 3 years later, succumbing to a heart attack during a chess match. Andrew posted a tribute. He created a monster, he wrote, as a father should. The peak of Tate's fighting career, he spent part of each year competing across Europe and often based himself in Kosice, Slovakia, an elegant medieval city of pastel townhouses and Gothic spires. During one visit, he met Bibiana Hruskova, a high school student with hazel eyes and blonde hair who was working as a waitress. Tate said they met in 2012, the year he turned 26 and she turned 15. He had taken to collecting girlfriends in his travel, and Hruskova became one of them. I had a girlfriend in Slovakia. I had a girlfriend in France. I had a girlfriend in England, he later said. Do they know about each other? No. Hruskova was besotted with Tate. You're the best thing that ever happened to me, she texted him. I want babies and get married. In 2014, when she turned 17, Tate summoned her to England. She left her family and went. So they're saying he met her at 15, or when she was 15. He met her the year he turned 26 and the year she turned 15. So I guess maybe she was 16 at the time, but because it was the year she turned 15, so it's not necessarily that it was like when she was 15. But either way, whatever, 15 or 16. He was 26, so not great. By then, Tate was a 3-time kickboxing world champion, but even at the top of the sport, he generally made only about $50,000 for a title fight. After he paid his manager and his trainer, there was little left over. In early 2014, he sat down to make a list of everything he owned. It was a dispiriting exercise. He and his brother shared a rundown apartment with barely any furniture. He owed money in his car, but then he had what he considered a flash of entrepreneurial genius. I had about 5 girlfriends, all smoking hot, and females are an asset, he recalled in the video. Pussy is the only reason that empires were started and wars were waged. I had to find a way to monetize the assets. Tate knew some street pimps, and he contemplated that route, but he didn't want other men touching what he saw as his property. Opening a strip club was too expensive. Then he stumbled for an ad for a webcam porn site. He flew off his girlfriend Salutin and assembled them at a restaurant where they learned of one another's existence. What a fucking nut. I almost don't believe this. It sounds like something Tate made up. He said, listen, young ladies, I'm starting a webcam business. Come on, Tate later recalled. This is going to change your life. Yeah, he brought his 5 chicks, his 5 girlfriends that didn't know they existed, sat them down all next to each other, and then he says, listen, young ladies, I'm starting a webcam. Okay, sure. This sounds made up, or at least embellished. But whatever. Okay. Most of the women left. Okay, maybe there's a little bit more believable. They left. But Hruskova stayed. Tate set up a profile for her on a site called My Free Cams, which allows users to watch models for free, where they perform them. Which allows users to pay models for free, to watch models for free, then pay them to perform specific sex acts or private shows. Filming sexual imagery of anyone under 18 is illegal in the US and the UK. On camera, Hruskova became a Russian woman in her 20s, performing under the username Kiss of a Cobra. Okay, so they lied about her age. Tate so she was underage, I think 17 when she started, is the implication. I don't know, maybe she was 18 by that time, but it sounds like it was around the time he flew her out. Tate persuaded her to get a tattoo of a cobra down one side of her body and another reading Tate property above her crotch. It's quite a commitment. Webcam porn, now a multi-billion-dollar industry, was then a nascent phenomenon, and Tate considered himself a pioneer. We started doing 15, 16, 17-hour days, he said. I'd wake up to go piss, and by the time I finished pissing, I was awake enough to say, all right, 2 hours of sleep, that's enough. He realized that he could extract bigger tips from customers if he wrote them seductive messages off camera while Hruskova pretended to type on a disconnected keyboard. Okay, come on. That's so fucking gay. I mean, I don't know. So, what are you going to be fucking messaging some dude about oh, what do you mean? I don't know. That's just super gay, but whatever. I mean, I get it's the hustle. He said, I had these guys selling their houses, life savings, loans, all that. He later said, I put together an apparatus of genius behind the avatar beauty, and we fucking conquered. With Tate controlling her performances, Hruskova became a fan favorite. I think I've fallen in love again, one user wrote. For a price, Tate would have sex with her on camera. In one video, he keeps his face out of view as he penetrates Hruskova from behind, but the distinctive cobra tattoo on his chest and arm is clearly visible. She will perform anal in front of hundreds of viewers who will keep tipping to push her boundaries, a review site noted. Tate has claimed that in the first month with Hruskova on camera, he made more than $100,000. The brothers bought an Aston Martin. That April, Andrew won the kickboxing world championship for a 4th time, but he soon stepped back from the sport to focus on expanding his webcam business, telling a kickboxing magazine that he was now a pimp superstar. As Tate warmed to his new career, he adopted a motto. There are only 2 categories of people, pimps and hoes. He was quoting the infamous Chicago pimp Ken Ivey, who published a book called Pimpology and another titled The Art of Human Chess. Tate studied both volumes closely. Seduction is a chess game, and to the victor go the spoils, Ivy wrote in a treatise on recruiting sex workers. To master someone completely, they have to depend on you for everything, he instructed. Most hoes have low self-esteem for a reason. A pimp looks for that weakness, and if it isn't on the surface, he brings that motherfucker out of them. Webcam work, unlike prostitution, is generally legal, but is illegal almost everywhere in the world to recruit sex workers using force, fraud, or coercion, including psychological manipulation. Tate wasn't concerned. As he started searching for new recruits, he bought a replica of the gloves that featured in O.J. Simpson's murder trial and got the word pimp embroidered on the palms. At the end of 2014, he reached out on Facebook to a 20-year-old British woman whom I'll call Maya Navarro. He sent a recruiting video of Ruskova sprawled in the bed tapping on a keyboard. Just typing to some guys is the easiest money in the world, he said. Navarro was living with her mother, who had worked for years in a warehouse, and her younger brother who had learning difficulties. Her father had recently become homeless and had since leaving school. She had been precariously employed. She agreed to meet Tate for coffee to find out more. Navarro told me that Tate was very charismatic, very confident. He showed her screenshots of the money coming from Ruskova's webcam account and said that he would make her rich so that she could travel the world and help her family. I don't think I'd ever spoken to anybody in my entire life that said those kind of things to me, Navarro said. Soon afterward, Tate picked Navarro up from her mother's house and drove her to a block of apartments above a convenience store. Up a dark stairway lit by flickering bulbs, he showed her into a room with a mattress on the floor and a computer station in the corner. It was skanky, she told me, but Tate assured her that they would soon be moving to a penthouse. He plied her with wine and directed her to lie on the mattresses, pretending to type, while he messages customers from the computer. That first night, he let her keep her underwear on, and it didn't feel so bad. When Tate picked her up for the second shift, there was a young woman whom I'll call Amelia Walker in the back seat. Navarro knew Walker a little from school and felt more at ease with her there. Between stints on camera, they laughed and drank bottles of rosé that the brothers supplied. At the end of the week, Tate gave each woman several £100s in cash, more than Navarro had ever held. She said that he drove them to a shopping center and declared, "You've got money now, start spending it." Navarro bought a Michael Kors watch, and after a few more shifts, a pair of Louis Vuitton heels. It was such a thrill that she kept their receipt as a trophy. I felt really, really proud of myself, she said. It was kind of like, oh, this is what my life can be like if I stay here. But Tate was already coming to resent paying Navarro and Walker a cut of their earnings. Horoskova let him keep 100% of the fucking money, he later said. But he complained, once you get bigger, you start hiring girls who don't love you. He decided on a strategy. I have a financial incentive to fuck as many as I can. Before long, so he's trying to spend less money on him by doing that, by romancing him. Before long, Tate told Navarro and Walker they would now be working from a room in a Hilton hotel in Luton. The second night, the women fell asleep there, and Navarro said that she woke up to find Tate behind her touching her legs. Then she said he pulled down her underwear and grabbed her throat, forcing himself inside her. Jesus Christ. "You're a good little girl," she remembered him saying, while he choked her until she struggled for breath. Navarro said that she repeatedly told Tate to stop and tried to loosen his grip on her throat, but he continued. Navarro recalls that she passed out afterward and woke up beside Tate, feeling disgusting, ashamed, dirty. She left and returned to her mother's house, but resuming normal life was hard. My crappy house, my crap bedroom, and my tiny little bed. That definitely put it into perspective. She said, slowly was like, I should go back because that's the most money I've ever made. She told herself that she'd be firmer with Tate. I was like, maybe he won't do it again. Maybe he'll just leave me alone. By March 2015, Tate had moved his webcam operation to Hitchin, a market town outside Luton. He'd rented an airy 4-bedroom apartment with a roof terrace overlooking a quaint stone church and a riverbank of willows. When Navarro returned, she thought that it was the nicest place she'd ever stayed. Which, by the way, just to recap, that was obviously the description of a rape. So we have a rape accusation now, so that's wonderful. Tate was now calling Amelia Walker his girlfriend, and they were sharing a bed. Navarro found Walker spirited and funny, a good companion. She kind of made the place like home, she told me. The two women retreated to a rooftop whenever they got a break to smoke, joke around, and get some sun. Tate had hung up a poster commissioned from a local artist. It depicted him on a throne holding a cane that he called his pimp stick, with 3 women leaning over him in stilettos and thongs. Big Tate carries a cane to keep his hoes sane, it said in pink bubble writing. Man, he's so gay. He'd also had a poster made for his brother who was recruiting webcam workers on his own. I feel like after sending so many seductive messages as men, pretending to be a woman, eventually it gets to your head. Tristan's poster depicted him dressed as a buccaneer above the words, "The captain's word is law." Navarro said that Tristan would walk around the apartment wearing a tricorn hat and waving a foam sword, declaring, "I'm the captain of the money ship." There was an absurdity to it all that took the edge off the menace. There were 6 women working in the apartment, including Ruskava, whom Navarro recognized from the video that Tate had sent. Tate was horrible to Ruskava, Navarro said, calling her fat and ugly. When he was around, Ruskava seemed to vie for his attention, trying to be the alpha female in the house. When he was gone, though, she seemed like she didn't want to be there, but she was scared. The hours were grueling, and Navarro downed several bottles of wine during each shift, trying to stay disinhibited enough to do what customers asked. By the time she finished, she was drunk and desperate for sleep. At first, the brothers drove her home, but after a while, she said they refused and she had to sleep over. There were only 2 beds in the apartment, and Tristan slept upstairs with several women he'd recruited, so Navarro ended up crashing in the bed that Walker shared with Tate. One morning, Navarro woke up to Tate and Walker having sex next to her. She shushed them, and Walker got up and went into the bathroom. When she was gone, Navarro said Tate put her in a chokehold and raped her for a second time. Jesus. Though she clawed his arms, he wouldn't release his grip. "I was scared that he was going to kill me," she told me. Then Walker emerged from the shower and he rolled off her. Later, Navarro said she was working camera when she heard strange noises and went to investigate. Through the open bedroom door, she saw Tate strangling Walker on the bed. Walker's face was red and puffy and her body was limp. Navarro said she felt a strange paralysis. Said that she was like, "There's nothing I can do about it." She told me she went back to work. The following morning, Navarro and Walker were putting on makeup in the bathroom when they noticed clusters of red spots around their eyes. Walker searched online and saw that Pt2, or I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, burst blood vessels can be a sign of acute pressure in the head from strangulation. The women began to panic. Hearing commotion, the Tates came to the door. When they saw the marks, they laughed. "You're such dumb bitches," Navarro remembers them saying. "That's from sleeping on the silk sheets." Doesn't make any sense. Navarro said that Tate started attacking her at random moments. Multiple times when she slept late, he whipped her with a belt. Time became a blur and the world outside the apartment seemed to recede. But one day, Navarro had a moment alone and something snapped. She walked out the door and never went back. Walker left soon afterward, and the 2 women gradually began talking about what had happened. Though Walker had started sleeping with Tate consensually, she said that he had attacked her many times, choking her till she almost passed out. That summer, the women contacted the Hertfordshire police. As it happened, Tate was already known to the authorities. The previous spring, another woman had gone to the police to make similar allegations. The woman, whom I'll call Hannah Price, said that she briefly dated Tate the previous year, but told him that she wasn't ready for sex. In the course of several weeks, she said he raped her and strangled her twice. Price showed police a series of messages from Tate discussing the alleged assaults. "I love raping you," he had written to her. "Monsters are monsters." That is quite the line there to show up in your rape case. Tate says that he did not strangle any of the women. I mean, it's so on the nose that I feel like you could honestly probably get away with it being like, "Oh, that was some sort of joke. I mean, I was just goofing." Okay. Tate says that he did not strangle any of the women. The sex was consensual, but he has repeatedly advocated throttling women during sex as a way to assert masculine power. "Choke her so she can barely fucking breathe. Tell her she's yours forever," he said in one podcast. "You just have to be a large enough force to program her." Price and Walker declined to be interviewed, but have described being assaulted by Tate in court filings. Tate was arrested on suspicion of assault, but he denied everything and was quickly released. Back at the apartment, he arranged for several webcam workers to give statements on his behalf. "We're going to bury this shit and carry on with our lives," he told them. Then, before the case could move forward, he and Tristan left for Romania. "Fuck England," Tate said. "I'm bouncing." The Tates compound outside Bucharest lies behind heavy security gates. Inside is a courtyard with an underlit swimming pool and a line of parked supercars, Aston Martins, Lamborghinis, and Bugattis. The house is a vast converted warehouse clad in gleaming black panels, and the name Tate mounted on the wall in huge white letters next to an emblem of a chess knight. A wrought iron samurai statue stands by a bulletproof door. When I visited this March, Tristan showed me around. He is physically imposing, 6'4" and about 230 pounds, but his manners were polished. He ushered me into a cavernous space where the brothers' kickboxing belts hung on a wall alongside a photograph of their father. Glass-top display tables held a replica handgun, gold bullets, and brass knuckles in a wood-paneled cigar lounge. Tristan showed me a towering safe sheathed in burgundy leather, which he said had contained watches and millions of dollars in cash and gold before the raid. Security cameras covered every inch of the compound except for the bedrooms. I've made it into a fortress, he said. 2015, when the Tates decided to leave England, Andrew's plan was, I'll just run around the world and I'll be above the jurisdiction of any one place. Then a friend from his kickboxing days called from Romania. Sebastian Vieru run a mixed martial arts company with backing from two brothers, Mihata and Sorin Dorofte, who were later indicted for heading one of the largest criminal cartels in Romanian history. They deny the allegations. Tate was fascinated by his friend's connections. He became a partner in the cage fighting business and then began investing in real estate. Tate boasts and texts about how easy it was to hide cash in Romanian property. Turn up with money in a bag, he wrote. No banks, no mortgage, no bullshit, no tax. He later partnered with Doroftis to open a series of casinos, which he described as big-time mafia shit. To Tate, Romania seemed like a gangster's paradise. He bragged about bribing officials, filling his house with guns and machetes, and hiding money from the authorities through crypto, which, hey, whatever. I don't mind that. I guess it's more about what are you using that money for than hiding it from the government. All about hiding your money from the government here. He repeatedly claimed to have used mafia and police contacts to hunt down people who had crossed him. Please do not underestimate how connected I am in Romania, he tweeted. MPs, police chiefs, street thugs, anything can be fixed. The Tates had brought Hruskova and several other women from the UK and put them to work in properties around Bucharest. They hired a former member of Romania's security services who recruited dozens of guards to protect them. Tate said that he also consulted a local lawyer about the potential implications of being accused of assaulting a woman and was assured that without physical evidence, she would have no case. This is probably 40% of the reason I moved to Romania, because in Eastern Europe, none of this garbage flies, Tate later explained in a video. I'm not a fucking rapist, but I like being able to do whatever I want. During my visit, the Tates strenuously denied they had hurt a single woman. I've never done anything wrong in my life, Andrew told me. He insisted that none of the women he'd recruited had accused him of crimes, adding, they're still my friends. By the time police raided his properties, he said, the webcam business, which by the way is not illegal, had been closed for 10 years. He showed no trace of emotion as he lied. In Romania, the Tates turned their small-time webcam enterprise into a kind of industrial operation. Their approach to recruiting resembled what trafficking experts call the lover boy method. They trawled dating apps and social media for young women, blasting out hundreds of identical messages and frequently changing their location to expand their reach. Women who responded were romanced. Tate sent one a flurry of questions. Where did she want to travel? Had she ever been skydiving? Had she ever seen a Dubai sunset? Those who proved susceptible were groomed for sex work. Every day I sent 20 Instagrams. Every day I was on a date. I was fucking 4 girls, 5 girls a week, Tate said in a War Room video. I built my business off the back of my dick. Tate had learned from Ken Ivey, the pimpology author, the importance of having a bottom bitch. He needed a recruiting sergeant who would lure them into, who could lure in other women, and he signed this role to Hruskova. After he slept with a woman, Hruskova would come in to sell the dream of webcam work, he explained in a War Room video. Before this, I was a waitress, and it was shit, he coached her to say. Now I do this, I make so much money. In fact, Tate said Hruskova saw little of the money she generated. He reported in private chats that her live streams had made him around $2 million, but all she got was pocket money for coffee and manicures. She works hard to please me, to get attention, he said. He was certain that she would never leave him. I own her mind, he told associates. If I died, she would commit suicide. One worker from that time told me that Hruskova seemed to have lost the capacity for independent thought. She's not herself. She's like an extension of Andrew, she said. We were all brainwashed. After the initial pitch, Tate would get his target and Hruskova drunk and have sex with them. Martinis, 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 bam, threesome, slam them both, he said. That's how you recruit. The compulsory group sex continued once the women were employed. Every day after work for me was a threesome, foursome, fivesome orgy, Tate said. He wrote to one 18-year-old about a threesome with Haruskova. You could be little sisters and hold hands while you... Ugh, that's just gross. That's awful. That's ungodly awful. The women lived in the brothers' properties, but in the most prized workers were not allowed to go out unattended or have relationships with anyone but the Tates. Otherwise, Andrew explained, that other person she's fucking is going to have control over her mind. Each brother had a personal harem. Tate called the women his wives and ordered them to address them as king. Often the recruits came from troubled homes or were living in poverty. One former member of Tate's harem told me that she had found his initial love bombing intoxicating. You go along with it, and before you know it, you're in absolute hell. Tate had a kind of way of casually peppering the abuse through day-to-day life, she said. He kind of serves it to you in a tongue-in-cheek, humorous way, but it's deadly serious. Physical abuse was often disguised as rough sex. Once she said Tate beat her so hard that she sustained lasting injuries to her eye and breast. You're a sexually violent person, she texted him afterward. He replied, you never told me to stop. In Romania, Tate rarely seemed to face consequences for his actions. In summer of 2016, though, he risked returning to the UK to appear on the reality show Big Brother. People who had seen his early sex shows with Haruskova remembered him, and some of the footage was leaked online. In one video, Tate lay in a bed and ordered Haruskova to show the camera a tattoo. Why does it say Tate, he asked. Because I'm his whore, she replied. Why's your ass got a bruise on it? Because my daddy hits me. Tate picked up a belt and began whipping Haruskova as she lay in the fetal position sobbing. Bitch, look at the camera, he told her, yanking her head back by the hair. This is what happens when you don't fucking listen. The Sun, a leading tabloid, reported the footage, and Tate was forced out of the Big Brother house. He posted a protest online. We were having a laugh. The Sun are morons. He said that Haruskova was an ex-girlfriend. Shared a photo of her holding a belt inscribed with the words, but I love when Andrew spanks me. In fact, Tate's removal from Big Brother had nothing to do with the videos. The Hertfordshire police, I feel retarded every time I say that word, Hertfordshire police had contacted the producers to inform them of the assault allegations from Navarro, Walker, and Price. But officers apparently missed indications of another crime, child pornography. Tate said that the belt video was made in 2012 at the start of his relationship with Haruskova. That year, she turned 15. So now we have multiple rapes. We have him filming a 15-year-old on video doing sex acts. As a webcam business expanded, a British entrepreneur named Naomi John was brought in to help. John had grown up in Bedfordshire, not far from the Tates. As a young woman, had opened a swimwear store called Sandstorm Boutique. The store became a sponsor of the Miss World beauty pageant, and John served as a judge for Miss Universe Great Britain, a significant recruiting pipeline for models. 2016, the Tates persuaded John to move to Bucharest. They had launched a recruitment agency called Model Stars, and they wanted their role in it to be obscure. Model Stars was described in promotional materials as an all-female business in which women help other women to escape the 9-to-5 work schedule and earn life-changing amounts of money. Okay, I have a feeling that is not what's going on there. But with that, I do think that'll probably be where we put a pin in it. When the Tates in 2016 moving to Bucharest, their activities over there, their recruitment agency called Model Stars, which it is incredibly rich. Like, we just read through this, and he admitted in quotes how he goes about his pimping, love bombing, kind of the lover boy technique, and yet he's out here advertising it as an all-female business, help you escape the 9-to-5, life-changing money. And it's like, it's a little bit of a misrepresentation of the situation, I would say. But let me know in the chat what you guys think of this. I'm still intrigued, and we're still like maybe a tenth of the way through this. So we've already got 2 rapes. We got Tate seemingly filming a child doing sex acts. We have gotten some rich stuff, and I don't even think we're a tenth of the way into this piece still. So yeah, I mean, let me know if you guys are bored by this, but I am not. I think we're going to keep digging through it, probably come back to this tomorrow. But with that, let's roll through the chat, say our good mornings one last time, and then get on out of here. I have a cute outro for you guys today I think you'll like. But with that, let's say hello. I don't know why this made me laugh. Mr. Woke says cat turd could kick all y'all's asses. Perhaps. Q-Bert's a man who understands violence. Apparently knocked some teeth out, broken ribs. One dude had to have a reconstruction of his face. Broke a jawbone, all from fists. Yeah, so the emphasis there being like that's how much people can get fucked up from fights. You can really fuck up your life from a fight. So it definitely shouldn't be encouraging children to treat that with any sort of level of flippancy. Yeah, they may do it, but like, don't do that, you stupid fuck. You're going to get yourself hurt, and it's completely childish. Have you stabbed a guy you were in a regular old fist fight? I would. I guess it depends on defining a regular old fist fight. So it's like if it is like a come on, have at 'em. Let's like you are just like a kind of a we agreed to this. I guess that's a different story. Fire Pixies, I don't understand why these scum fucks are a thing. Well, I think this piece we're reading gives a little bit of insight as to why they're a thing. Makes you think. It looks like they were pretty tapped into. I mean, they've kind of jumped around in this world. They were opening casinos and all sorts of shit, and all different European or Eastern European nations kind of making these business connections. I mean, bragging about being into gangster shit. So I think they may have been into some gangster shit. So I think that might be why have something to do with why they're a thing. Yeah, John Black says I have the wrong kind of pussy farm. I'd have a Ferrari if I was doing it right. Yeah. Well, I don't gotta fuck them though, or pretend to care about their feelings. So there's one benefit there. Collecting girlfriends is faggot shit. Straight men get married to adult women, says Tom. Yeah, that is. I can't imagine a worse hell. I mean, I guess it is cool. You have all this property, all this, all these nice things, and all these people who like suck up to you. But I don't know. That actually seems like a nightmare. Being surrounded by that many women, the constant like. I just feel like everyone be up your ass all the time. Also, like, and I understand too, somewhat like this. Like, obviously, this is a crazy degree different. Like, every man at some point has probably done the like. The pimp shit, like the manipulating women or trying to like, and it's not that hard to do, let's be real. But anyways, it is like an inauthentic way to be, and I do think it kind of tears away at you. Like, I mean, every one of us is like, I remember when I was 13 lying to some chick about how much I loved her just because I wanted to see her boobies or something. Like, so like every man's probably been in that. Like, obviously that's like a far cry away from what like Tate is doing, but like, yeah, he's describing his life as like daily having threesomes and like these people call me king and this and that, and you're like, at the same time, I don't know, that would just, I feel like it would claw away at you in some way. That just seems so like an inauthentic way of being. Like, it's not like you're not interacting with these people like people, like. And that's kind of like, I think like as men, like, I mean, at least any reasonable men, like, yeah, maybe you do go through that phase where you are kind of being skis. You are going that like different route of manipulating, like this like gross kind of, just after a while you're like, why? Just be yourself. I mean, yeah, to some degree, I guess there is like a concept of mind and understanding how other people think. And like, if there are certain things you want, like, let's be real. If you're with your old lady and you're trying to get some nookie, you may behave in a certain way than otherwise. So, like, there is some level of, like, I guess you could say inauthenticity that comes into play in dynamics here. But I just feel like that'd be exhausting. Have to, like, it's almost like you're trying to put on at all times, or you're trying to be something else. You're also trying to perceive how other people are thinking and how you, in turn, need to behave in order to manipulate certain behaviors out of it. It just seems fucking exhausting. Like, wouldn't you just want to be able to live life and just kind of just be chill and, like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting a little too overly philosophical with that, but like, yeah, it just seems like kind of like a beautiful hell, I guess you could say. Tara implying perhaps they could be younger. Yeah, you're not wrong. Alright, Fire Pixie little barfy face. Tara says, any guys in the chat want to talk about sperm and cocks all day, real long, really, seriously? I also forgot about that too. That's right. Yeah, also, I mentioned that earlier. That is also add to that whole dynamic of the life this guy is leading, that his literal job is to talk dirty to dudes. That is, like, for all this, like, hype of, like, I'm a top G, what this dude does, like, what his whole career centers around is, like, telling dudes how thick and how girthy and how I bet it's veiny or whatever fucking weird shit he's saying to them. He's literally flirting with dudes. Like that is what Tate does. He flirts with dudes. That is his fucking job at the end of the day. Like, yes, pretending to be a woman, he is making money off of it, but it sounds pretty awful. Sounds like kind of the fucking worst. So yeah. To that point, Cuber says what Tate was doing, talking to dudes, pretending to be a woman, is gay, but it's brilliant, and the dudes deserve it. It is gay. It is also brilliant, but it also comes back full circle. Just it is gay. So like, I don't know. It would be awful. I mean, it's hilarious, but at the same time, though, you're like, if somebody told me that, I'd be like, that's hilarious, and then I'd kind of like, maybe I wouldn't say it because you wouldn't want to embarrass them, but then you have this moment of like, yeah, but you do that every day, like this. Nigga, this is how you live? Okay, like that's really funny, but like, I'm sorry that you're going through that, man. The kind of hand on the shoulder type moment. Yeah, let's keep going. What else we got here? Man. Qbert talking about burst blood vessels. I've had burst blood vessels too from like all sorts of stuff. It doesn't have to be choking, but it is like it is from pressure in the blood vessels. So like I've gotten them from like lifting a lot. It's like, so like, but then you are kind of like tightening up and your vessels do kind of like, you do put a lot of pressure in your vessels when you're lifting heavy weight. So you can do the same thing for that. It's not as like absurd as they're making out to be. Like, although I guess from choking, I feel like you probably would have to be choked pretty hard for that to happen. But, I mean, I've had those little petechia or whatever they're called from, like, not even that extraneous of workouts, really. So, it's not that uncommon, but, yeah. Oh, man, there's a lot of chats here. I might have to subscribe to the forward. Good morning, Murray. I don't know if I said anything to you. So no one made those girls stay. Give me a break. Well, I mean, no one made them stay, but it kind of blurs the line, as we talked about yesterday. He's like flying these guys out. He love bombs. So it very much is like a deceptive process. He brings, and also he romances these women, convinces them he wants a relationship with them. He, like, the example we covered yesterday was Tristan Tate. Like, some women he convinced that, you know, he was in love with her and he'd love to learn piano from her and he should come live with him and yada yada. I don't know how long it took him to wine and dine her to this situation, but essentially flew her in from another nation, and ta-da, now you're here. So yeah, I get it. But then it's scuzzy. I mean, some of this stuff is like, I get it. A lot of this is like, you know, it's somewhat your own fault depending on the situation. It's a little bit blurry, but obviously there's the kid stuff, the multiple rapes. Yeah, not good. Oh, damn, we're almost there. Yeah, exactly. There you go. All right, the 15-year-old is the evidence we need. Hang him. Exactly. So it's like, yes, a lot of the shit we're talking about this series is like, okay, sure, that's gross, but okay. But it's all like kind of stuff that you're like, yeah, but it kind of insinuates other shit's going on. So kind of need to focus on that stuff, but then also kind of keep your eye on the ball for like the legitimate, like, that's a fucking crime. Like rapes, children on camera, stuff like that. You guys still talking about punching and knives? Let me see. All right, we're almost caught up. Cupert says, I'll tell a bitch damn near anything to get that pussy I very rarely miss. But like, imagine if that was your life, like, into a ridiculous degree to where like it's one thing if you have one woman and every now and then you maybe say some things you don't entirely mean or maybe even flat out lie. But it's another thing where you're like, you know, fucking a myriad of women and you're having to do this multiple times. It sounds exhausting. It sounds awful. He's a phone sex girl, says JMS. He is. Yep. That is exactly what Tate is. John Black says, I feel bad Jose has to read the chat. Yeah, not too bad, whatever. You get to have sex with multiple girls at once, but you gotta type gay shit to the Gooners. But it's like, it's one thing, like, I feel like those sort of things, the whole, like, the multiple women or whatever thing, like, sure, maybe is like once, twice, handful of times, whatever, it's like a fun little novelty. If that was your daily existence, it actually, I feel like, approaches a nightmare. Like, you'd be like, I am so over this. Like, for one, it would, like, is gay, not to sound gay, but you'd almost, like, I feel like you'd feel deprived of human connection, in a, like, it's because you're not really having that one-on-one. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I know that sounds gay, but, like, and I'm not even someone who really, I feel like, needs a whole lot of human connection. I'm pretty, I don't know what to say, asocial, but, like, even still, that would get to be, I don't know, they'd, like, claw away at you. 100K in a month, I'll tell nigga anything through a computer, says Cubert. Well, we have a business proposition for you there, bud. All right, I think we're basically... Oh, there's Mr. Mudbutt again, top goy. John Black says, I've never typed gay shit to Gooners. Yeah, I mean, that's why you don't make the big bucks, John Black, and that's why you don't make the big bucks. That's why you're not the top G, the biggest dog around. Well, all right, guys, with that, for those who want to support what I'm doing, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. You can find the show on YouTube, Rumble, all the major audio podcatchers, and Twitter as well. On Twitter, that's at TargetGangJose. Everywhere else, it's the No Way Jose podcast. You can find the show. Oh, I already said that. I'm retarded. If you want to support the show in the best way you can do that over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. Top left-hand corner, we got a QR code that you can use as well. It brings you to the same exact place. Give you guys a whole host of perks. Try to give you guys, at the $2 level, try to give you guys 1 to 2, or don't try, I do. I give you 1 to 2 episodes per week behind the paywall. Why do I keep saying try? And I give you 3 to 4, or keep 3 to 4 behind the paywall at any given time. Also give you guys access to the ad-free RSS feed, give you guys access to Telegram, the pre-show, post-show, and video calls, and me and Austin's weekly live call-in show, which is on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, which just last night. Had a great time. And I also give a big shout out to the highest level of my Patreon, which is my sponsors. This is a big thank you for their support. And my previous co-host and Gang, at Learn Toad, also at Brigadies, at ZOVRCK, at _Zeal, Timtel, at John Klubel, big fan of the show, Torme, at Wayne Tackus, One Recovery Kids, No Free Lunch, Jack, Mark Vestibule, Jacob Wintergrad of the Biblical Anarchy Podcast, and John Black, you beautiful bastard. I see you in the chat. And with that, guys, I did want to show you for today's outro this adorable little thing that I think one of these days I want to get. This thing is the cutest. Have you guys ever heard of a fennec fox? If not, you're going to learn about him, and he is adorable. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern, give or take. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
An adult fennec fox may seem calm and quiet when you're holding it, but the moment you let go, you'll realize it's actually a little troublemaker. It's quick and agile and loves bouncing all over the dogs or goofing around with the cats. The fennec fox is the smallest fox species in the world, and it looks absolutely adorable, especially with those huge ears that take up half its head. Don't let its tiny size fool you, though. Wild fennec foxes can be pretty fierce and aggressive, but once raised in captivity, grow up gentle and affectionate. They're tiny, clingy, and when they want attention, they act just like a spoiled little puppy, making cute whiny sounds that'll melt your heart. That's why they're such popular pets. Fennec foxes live in hot, dry deserts, which is why they're also known as desert foxes. To protect themselves, they dig burrows to hide in when danger comes. They spend their whole lives in the sand. So, if you ever took one to the beach, it'd be so excited it wouldn't even know where to run first.